Ooh, we live, baby.
Oh, you know what? I didn't get the chat thing up. Oh man, almost perfect, Steve. Almost had it perfect. Oldies Radio, heavyweight champion of the
Almost perfect,
world.
Steve. Almost had it perfect.
Caller, turn your radio down.
I even did that, but this one, I was really hoping it wouldn't. But hi,
Hey everybody,
how are we?
happy Tuesday to you.
It's Taco Tuesday.
It's Taco Tuesday.
It's
Did
it's
you have tacos for
the.
dinner, Steve?
As a matter of fact, yes, I did.
I had pizza. I made my own pizza.
Ooh, what is the be all end all pizza topping when it comes to Senor
Um,
Mark?
well, so what I did was I put a little red sauce, and then I put a little bit of Frank's buffalo sauce as well
With the red sauce.
with the red sauce. It's good.
You're a madman.
Eh,
You-
eh.
Chicken?
No chicken, just pepperoni. Pretty disgusting pizza. That was good. It was fine. Because here's the thing, Steve. If you have pizza and you have the
Mhm.
option to dip it in a little buffalo sauce and maybe a little ranch, are you just gonna do that anyhow? So why not bake it into the pizza as it is?
Take out the ranch and put in blue cheese and soul, daddy.
See, that ranch is a big thing around here. Around here,
Yeah.
we do the ranch on the pizza. Um, what's up, Oldies Radio?
Dude, I was team ranch for the longest time, but then I hey man, went to
Blue cheese.
Buffalo and had some blue cheese with my buffalo wings in Buffalo. Gotta say, I'm all about team blue cheese now, man.
A little secret that my brother taught me about blue cheese, or just to get the blue cheese where you want it to be, is you get the blue cheese crumbles, like you know how the same places usually where they sell like the feta cheese and stuff like that, and then you just mix it with like blue cheese dressing,
Yeah,
and that's next level. That's the way to do it.
that sounds fantastic. I
The
think he's
only
onto something,
the
man.
only Jack's Pizza worth a hoot is Jenkins. Is that the pizza that's like? Is that like
In the blue box,
oh, okay? No, I
or
was
no,
thinking.
it's not even in a box. It's like just like wrapped,
Yeah,
right?
I'm looking it up right now. Woody's Pizza.
I don't know, man. I dig some Red Baron. Actually, there's that company.
Jack's.
What is it, like
Yes.
screaming Sicilian or whatnot?
You know the only,
Dude,
the only,
they have this pepper pizza, not like a supreme, but like a pepper pizza. It's got like I don't know what's on it, but it was like all kinds of peppers, like bell peppers and all that. But it's off the chain. It's good
the only reason I don't get those pizzas is because it looks
because they're
like
like $9.
well for they're $9 first off, but it looks like the screaming Sicilian. I know it's screaming, but it seriously looks like something that's like it's like barfing. It's like barfing the pizza toppings. So I've never
What
I've
was that
never
story you told me about Jesse Barfield?
I was I was really car sick as a kid, and yeah, we were in a Toys R Us looking at starting lineup figures, and there was Jesse Barfield, and I was like, yeah, I might have thrown up. I can't remember at the current
Jesse
moment.
Barfield.
Barfield. So yeah, that's in my younger days. Man, talk about if you want to talk about the passage of time, as we do a lot on this show, like two
By all
old men.
means,
Uh, E.T. is turning 40 years old this year. Did you
that
see?
movie that movie can still wreck me, dude. Like that like ending where he's like, "I'll be right here." I'm like, "Oh man, that is just gets me, and um, yeah, it's a good movie, man.
I have an ongoing joke on various Facebook pages that you were once part of, and then you were no longer. But usually,
I like that. Just leaves that window
yeah,
open for interpretation.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like that
yeah, yeah. I don't remember at this time. So much time has passed that I don't even remember why that you left or whatever happened. It's
because I
all
went after this the sacred deity they have there and poked fun at him,
oh
and then uh, RC got all bent out of shape and
well.
like
Uh, there's nobody there's no really nobody there's still a handful of people that are on it, but yeah, it's not like it was. But when they say weekend plans, I always share that picture of when ET's in the river. Um,
Where it's like all completely white and all
it's like
that.
all
Yeah.
ashy white, and there's like the
Yeah.
raccoon licking him or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
And by RC, I mean RC Cola.
RC Cola
Cola.
is delicious. If I had a
Oh, it
if
is.
I have
Absolutely.
if I have an option to get RC Cola, I will get RC Cola
For show.
with my King Crimson pizza.
King Crimson Pizza.
That's what Oldies Radio said. Supreme pizza will be my
DiGiorno.
epitaph.
I can't do DiGiorno, man. It's like, I don't know. It just, and I don't like cheese. It's like stuffed cheese. You remember back in like the mid 90s, I guess, at this point, where they had Ringo Starr doing Pizza Hut commercials, and
I
he would
do.
like, you got to turn it like this. And he would turn it around, and it's like,
There's,
you'll
there-
love the stuff we're made of. And it was like the stuff you'll love we're made of or whatnot. I probably butchered that, but
yeah.
yeah, it was
No,
pretty.
there's definitely a Donald Trump stuffed crust pizza too out there. I'm serious, it's out there. Go look for it.
What is it full of fraud and lies and swindling?
Where he's turning the, where it's like you got to eat the crust first. They were really on that, weren't they? They really wanted to like.
Oh, they were all about
like
that,
they were
dude.
super serious about.
They were. I mean, Jesus, they got one of the Beatles to do it. It's like, now, granted, in 1995, Ringo wasn't exactly busy, but I'm sure that didn't come with a price. It didn't. I'm sure that price tag wasn't cheap.
Yeah, I mean, with all the Beatles anthology things going on, I mean, it's not like he was. I don't think he was touring at the time, but right, like
with his all-star band, I don't know. Could be. He was probably still rejecting fan mail at that point with peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Don't send me any more crap.
Yeah. I remember Pizza
Y'all like Pizza Hut.
You guys like Pizza Hut?
We used to shag fly balls, and then we would.
I'd have 2 Cokes in a Hershey bar and a slice of Pizza Hut. All right. Enough of the inside.
What you drinking? What you drinking, Matt?
I'm drinking Twisted Tea, man, and it is delicious.
Twisted Tea. He's got Twisted Tea. What else? Did you get that from the gas station? Can you buy gas station stuff like that?
No, I just need a cup with a lid on it. You know what I mean? Like, I got technology on my desk here, and I don't want to knock this over.
No, I don't. I don't blame you.
This is from.
I don't blame you.
Did you get gas at Sheets? Do you got Sheets around you?
Dude, my dad loves going to Sheets. He's like, that's like the nicest gas station, always clean. We went to when we did that trip, it's like all we stopped at. I was like, there's a Shell. My dad's like, no, go further down the road. There's Sheets. There's a Sheets. I saw a sign. I was like, it's 3 miles away. He said, go to Sheets. And I will say that their coffee is pretty darn good. They're Colombian roast. They're dark roast.
Okay.
Dude, I had that up and down when I went through that hellacious snowstorm getting to you, and I tried both ways in the snow. Like I was like, I was like, do you guys have like a big cup? He's like, how big? I was like a tub, and he's like, well, we can get you a large. I was like, yeah, let's do that. And so I got a big old cup of that and was sipping on that.
They usually have like the big, like the big. I don't know if they still do or not, but there used to be like this big, huge, just giant
Bubba cups. We call those Bubba cups around here, where they've got the handle on them, and they're like the refillable one, and it's like a small garbage can with a straw. Yeah. If they had coffee like that, I would just go down the road and just Beavis the entire time.
For a while, there was a Sheets branded one that they would sell, and I think it was like $3 or something like that. So, but yeah, Sheets is always, as a kid, sort of the Sheets kind of thing is the sheet.
On my way.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, I think I got froze up.
Maybe a delay. Sorry.
The Sheets run is sort of that's kind of the thing, like that late night. So they have all these different things that there's like, and they always use like the SH and then a Z at the end of it. So they have like shamwiches, things like that. They still call their hoagies. So I think schmogies would have been funny, but they don't know. They never they
had it made it was like that's a little
like
too far.
Yeah, we say schmegels and schmuffins, but we draw the line at schmogies. So
but yeah, I literally on my way to Erie, I literally stopped at Eaton Park and a Sheets to gas up and get some coffee. It was good, man.
You did good. So, yeah, Sheets is a good time. So hey, let's talk about. Um, and you got to take a shot every time that you do a Dusty Rhodes impersonation. No.
Oh, we'd be drunk by now. Like it's we've been on the air for 7 minutes. We'd both be like, all right, good night, everybody.
Yeah. What have you been listening to this week, Steve?
Honestly, dude, I have not been listening to much. I've been super busy here, and when I do have some downtime, I've been like kind of compiling the rest of my would be list. So
Okay.
haven't been listening to a whole lot. Just some quick highlights. Been listening to a little bit of the Misfits, the collections 1 and 2. Those are just fantastic, greatest hits. I tell you, ever since everybody's kind of talked about, Kate Bush, I went back and really listened to a lot of Hounds of Love, and what a great album that is. So,
Yeah.
my pick this week is Hounds of Love by Kate Bush. Not spoiler alert, but that's going to be on the list very soon.
It's funny how um, and Jerry Shimp and I sort of briefly talked about this, how like suddenly everybody's like a Kate Bush fan, and I was like, and that's why. Real quick, talking about gas stations. So yeah, Sheets is a gas station. They've really kind of they started in, I guess, sort of central western Pennsylvania, but that's what Sheets is. It has a Z at the end of it. Sheets. And Oldies Radio is in Come and Go Country. So, yeah, that's
I've seen one of those.
I
That's
know
an
I'm familiar with
unfortunate
those.
name.
Yeah, you got any Circle K's where you're at? The Polar Pop. Um,
Used to be Diamond Shamrocks. Yep.
so yeah, everybody's all into Kate Bush now, and it's funny. It's really funny how that there's certain things in pop culture just sort of happen, um, and have you been a big Stranger Things fan? Are you a fan of that show? Do you watch it at all? You're frozen, Steven.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, you're
I'm not. I'm right here.
okay. You're a fan of
Yeah,
you're a fan of Stranger Things.
I am. I
Okay.
am. I since the first season. Yeah, like everybody, I got hooked immediately, and so
Well,
think it's good. It's one of the very few reasons that I'll keep Netflix.
I mean, and it does, it kind of hits those buttons that are, I know that they're sort of nostalgia for you. But what are your the thing that I think is interesting, and I know that you and I'm a little bit older than you, but like, um, sometimes like I feel, especially with the '80s, they're still doing it, is like when they try to pretend it's the '80s, they try a little too hard. It's like some of those movies that like where they try to do, like even like the Doors movie, like if we think about Oliver Stone's Doors movie, like they try a little too hard to make it be the '60s. You know what I mean? So, do you feel that with Stranger Things at all, or no? You think it's the right combination of everything?
Like every frame has got to have a bunch. I mean, I see where you're coming from as far as every shot has got to have as much '80s nostalgia pieces thrown into it at once. But I think they do a pretty good job. I don't think that the setting detracts from the story. I think it kind of adds to it, and like we've talked about before, every couple of generations, the previous generation is popular again. So get ready, because the next generation is really going to love 2003, 2004. So
That's right. That we talk about all the time. Or actually, the '90s. That'll be next. People will be really on about the
we're
'90s.
gonna
You know.
it's gonna be the thong song and laser pointers as far as the eye can see.
I, c- I can only wish. I can only wish. WCW. They talk about WCW. So
I'm
that's
okay
it.
with that.
So that's yeah. That's what's on your list this week.
That's what's on my list, man.
I got
Been watching a lot of old wrestling and watching, like I said, Stranger Things. So rather than listening to things, I've been kind of watching things, which is usually odd. It's usually the other way around, but not this week.
yeah. Oldies Radio saying or 1980 looks the same as 1989, and I feel that there was that dividing lines right around 1987 is when things started like even like the like early 90s, like 91, 92, still look like the 80s. So I always feel like every sort
I
of
agree.
every sort of time frame, it kind of seeps over a little bit into it. Um, so I've only really been listening to one record. I purchased one record about a week ago, came in the mail the other day, and I've been listening to it sort of um, nonstop. And so grapefruit. I know it's here we go. Cherry red. Have to talk about it every single episode, right? Um,
We need to get you. We need to get a
like
sponsorship from them.
we do, because God knows how much I've given to them in the last I don't know how many years. So they have a compilation that's coming out in August, sort of towards the end of August. But it's something that like absolutely piqued my interest. Like all of their compilations sort of have there's always sort of that there's a part of it that's familiar, like for instance like the riding the rock machine, right? Like there are parts on there that are really familiar which sort of like draw you in, and
Sure.
then there's like the deep tracks and the unreleased tracks and stuff like that, and that's kind of the stuff that's like, okay, here's something I've never heard before, and how does that sort of hold my interest. um, so this one that's coming out, they've done two done two folk compilations, and you know me with my affinity for British folk music. The first one was sort of like underground folk music from like 19 like late 60s to the mid 70s. There was a lot of bands on there that you know are the sort of that A tier kind of music, but a lot of that sort of like you know they use the term acid folk where it's like these they might have been psychedelic in the you know late 60s and then they sort of went folk or things like that. There's always sort of that touch of like um, there's something about British,
Gray.
not touch of gray, there's sort of a touch of darkness where there's a little touch of evil, like you know the Wicker Man movie, right? So like some of that kind
Right.
of stuff. So um, John's on, he said, hey everybody, happy
What's up, John?
Tuesday. um, so there's you know there's sort of that touch of like you know the sort of the occult kind of thing, like sort of like a kind of like a Black Sabbath kind of thing going on. So I really enjoy that. So there was the first one which was sort of more so underground kind of folk, and then they did another one that was like that one was like straight on like this could be satanic, we're not sure, but it's folk music, right? Like it could be traditional folk music, but it's sort of you know kind of weird.
It's
So
just
this
about Lucifer.
well, there's you know it's about stuff like solstice, like you know what I mean. Like there's it's kind of like it kind of touches on that, but it's not necessarily like you know it's not really in the front kind of thing. So this third one that's coming out is about this label that's called Folk Heritage, and the artists that were on this label are pretty much what I would call maybe like club folk. So at that time, here's you know this is mostly in like 1970, maybe 69, 70. These people were playing in folk clubs, but they never really get to the point where they have like a mainstream hit. Like it's too traditional to kind of break into the mainstream. So a lot of these musicians are in obscurity, right? So like they released one album that you might have only been able to get if you saw them in that certain club, right? Maybe
Oh
like there's like
wow.
200 pressings, things like that. And this stuff I've been looking at it on Discogs. We're talking about records like 600, 500, $600 for some of this stuff. It is beyond rare. And then the other part that sort of adds to the, you know, the white whaleness of it is all these records are in the UK. There's none in the United States. So that adds like that other part where, you know, I'm beyond excited to hear this stuff because this is all music that I've never heard. But at the same time, it's like it's going to be really hard to obtain it, and it's not really well documented. Like there's after the label kind of folded in the mid '70s, there like these never made it to CD, right? They kind of disappeared into obscurity, and it's the same thing where it's like, oh, here's you know this guy, he played folk music, and then he went on and had like a normal career for you know what I mean the rest of his life until he retired and things like that. So
So
go ahead.
so these are master copies or anything like that? Obviously, they probably don't exist, but are these just like basically conversions of the actual LP itself?
It's hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
See, that's the process that that would intrigue me a little bit. It's just like, I mean, do you go down? Do you like, hey, I know, Jeff has this record. Let me hold it for a week and let me digitize it and I'll give it back to you. And I know Phil's got this, for so on and so forth. Is that
Yep.
just kind of what you had to do? Is just know dudes who have those records, or a shop owner or something?
Yeah, this is what's going to be interesting about the comp. Like, so what, you know what I mean? Like, how do they? Again, I mean, Cherry Red is really sort of a licensing company. So what they do is they have pretty close ties with WMG, right? So like the Warner Music Group. And what they'll say is, we're going to put out a CD box set and then we're going to license all these tracks for you, but we're only going to put out like 2,000 of them, right? And then that's so, for instance, like the Steppenwolf box set, where they kind of went in and said, okay, we're going to release that whole entire discography, but it's not like something that's going to be to the masses, right? There was really, that was the only label that had it. It wasn't like, oh, there was some label in the United States that was doing it at the same time. You know what I mean? It's not like a major release. So a lot of it,
Right.
that's how these companies, like Sundazed and really a lot of the reissue labels, that's how they operate. They just say, oh, they'll say it's a limited pressing, but that's it. That's all that they can do. Like they can say, okay, we're going to do 1,000 copies, and that's it. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like a full release. We're not putting it back in in print. Jerry Shimp says, let's book a trip to London. Yeah, man, I would love to. So as you can imagine, I got boots in the ground over there. So I've been putting out the feelers and doing stuff like that. But I did find so this is what I sort of ordered. This was on eBay. It was pretty cheap. It was only about $10, but it's a compilation. There's 14 tracks on it. It's not on the Folk Heritage label. It's on a label called Windmill, which was um, like a budget. I mean, if you look at their stuff on Discogs, like it makes no sense. Like there's Burt Bacharach. I mean, it just seems like it's all over the place. Like it's like a '70s reissue label. But I thought the cover was really cool because it reminded me. What does this remind you of?
Dead Van Morrison album.
The Van Morrison album, which the Velden Fleece.
Yes, that one.
I was thinking there's another album that like might be a
Li-
little bit better than that.
Little Feat, Time Loves a Hero.
No, how about that one?
Ah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I just was like, that's really cool. But yeah, this is really what I've been listening to, and I digitized it, and I probably listened to it about 10 times. Pretty much every artist that's on here, there is at least either. I think there's only one song on here that's on that comp, which is cool. So it's going to be a lot of unheard tracks. Um, but then there's a
Nice.
there's a lot of pretty much every group that's on here has a different cut on the that Cherry Red comp. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that. I think this is my um, I guess it's like, the new obsession, but it's like, how do you, I don't know. It's going to be very difficult to do in the United States, but we'll make it happen. So that's sort of my next. I'm not trying to get every single album because it's not going to happen. It's not going to be like Folk Legacy. Um, but it'll be. I don't know. I'll try to get what I can. Like I said, there's one that I saw on Discogs. It was like $650. There was something on eBay that had just sold a couple of days ago, and it was like $250. I was like, this is insane. Like it's just, but again, it's privately pressed kind of stuff. That's I don't know. I think this is that next step of record collecting, where there's people that are just getting in and buying Steely Dan and Fleetwood Mac and what else are they buying, Steve?
Those are big sellers. You had your garage sale, so you tell me, what are they buying?
Um, yeah,
70s rock.
Chicago. Yeah, '70s rock in general. So,
It's always a big seller.
but that's what I got. So, shall we proceed into the
Let's do
next?
it.
Yeah. So, do you want to do an update from where we were from last week? Do you mind going through that?
Are you serious?
I mean, should we? I think
There's a lot.
I think we're up to what, 130, right?
Yeah, thereabouts. It's on my phone, so
Okay.
do you mind grabbing it?
What's that? What does an expired Pop Tart taste
You
like, Steve?
mind? You mind pulling it up?
Is it on the? It's on the Facebook page, right?
It is. It is.
Let's
And my
jump over to Facebook.
Did you see my glowing Grateful Dead review of the show?
Yeah, you were talking about Dick's 23.
I was.
Talk me through it.
Boy, boy, that could have different connotations if people didn't know that was. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot.
So what's it, a 73 show, right?
Yeah, it's February '73. It's really good. It's really, really good.
Lincoln, Nebraska, home of
Yep.
oldies radio, right?
From the town of Lincoln, Nebraska. I believe so.
It's not even a real Pop Tart. It's Clover Valley.
What is Clover Valley?
I believe is that the
That sounds
Aldi?
like one of those.
Is that
That
the
sounds like
Aldi
one of those
Brown?
English folk bands that you would listen to.
I would listen. I would listen to an English folk band called Clover Valley. I would. Um, mm, 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 mm. Steve, is there an updated list? I'm kind of scrolling through and I don't see it.
Yeah, there's an update. I posted it last time.
Okay,
Here.
this is. I got it. 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 So we're up to 129.
129, baby.
Do you want me to just rattle them off?
I'm.
Okay,
I
here's
mean,
one.
you can start. I think we ended the last. Do you think? Hit it.
Hit it. Once I said hit it. All right, you're just breaking up, Steve. I'm sorry. I got a bad connection. Okay, so we got Revolver, Dark Side of the Moon, Kick Out the Jams, Exile on Main Street, Zep 2, Velvets and Nico, New Day Rising, The Doors, Gilded Palace of Sin, Abbey Road, Live Dead, Desire, Bill of the Woods, Terrapin Station, Rocket to Russia, At Fillmore East, Let It Bleed, The Live Adventures of Mike Bloomfield and Al Cooper, Hot Rats, Freak Out, Funhouse, Relationship of Command, What's Going On, Odyssey and Oracle, All Things Must Pass, At Folsom Prison, Blue, Sweetheart of the Rodeo, Is This It, Surf's Up, Let It Be, Forever Changes, Love Supreme, Tago Mago, At Budokan, Trout Mass Replica, The Voyager, Night in the Ruts, Stand in a Silent Way, Rust Never Sleeps, Nielsen Schmielsen, Something Anything, Todd Rundgren, Gets Gilberto, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Then Play On, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, The Other, Kind of Blue, Branded Man, The Yes Album, Music from Big Pink, London Calling, Echo and the Bunnymen, Flip Your Wig, The Mamas and Papas, The Kings Are the Village Green Preservation Society, E Pluribus Unum, Super Session, Scott 4, Alien Lines, History, de Mel Elodie Nelson. Did you listen to that yet? Did you take a listen to that? You should, if you didn't.
Not yet.
Radio City, Soft Bulletin, John Prine, Nevermind the Bullocks, Eat a Peach, A Thousand Leaves, Marquee Moon, LA Turnaround, Velvet Underground, In the Court of the Crimson King, International Submarine, Band Safe at Home, How to Operate with a Blown Mind, Destroyer, Fairport Convention, Purple Rain, Nancy and Lee, Damaged, Repeater, Electric Ladyland, Maggot Brain, Who's Next, Do You Believe in Magic, Paris 1919, Resurrection of Pigboy Crabshaw, Cosmos Factory, Brighten the Corners, Fire and Water, Wish You Were Here, Tangerine Dream, Kaleidoscope, Out Come the Wolves, OK Computer, King of the Delta Blues, The Remains, Survival Sickness, Sticky Fingers, Little Games, Raw Power, Blues Breakers featuring Eric COVID Clapton, Curtis, Excitable Boy, Easter Everywhere, Towns Van Zandt, Tapestry, Night Heights with the Diner, Tepid Peppermint Wonderland, Tomorrow, Back in the USA, Nuggets, Original Artifacts from the First Psychedelic Era, Mass and F Minor, Amen, I'm In, Water is Life, Tenarwin, 12 Dreams of Dr. Sardonicus, Terry Reid, Full Moon Fever, In Search of the Lost Chord, Thawid, Farrah Saunders, is that what it is? What's that called?
Yes.
Every Picture Tells a Story.
You got it.
Pisces, Aquarius, and Capricorn Jones Unlimited. Two Nights the Night. Glass Houses. Odessa. War Live. Nightlife. Photographs and Memories. The Best of Jim Croce. Red-Headed Stranger. Can't Buy a Thrill. Sounds of India. Bob Marley, Catch a Fire. And Seventh Tree by Goldfrapp. That, my friend, some good stuff.
I wasn't
right
listening.
There. That was some. Good
I wasn't listening.
Oh, you weren't. Okay.
Can you repeat that?
Sure can. Which number do you want me to repeat?
One on forward. Ooh, that's
uh,
a pretty solid list too so far, Conser.
that is. Again, if you went on a records shopping spree, that's I would hope that at least one of those 130 records were in that. And I would say it would be hard not to, right?
I mean, that's some pretty choice cuts.
Would you like me to go first, Steve?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to go with an album that we talked about earlier today. We're going to talk about the first Black Sabbath record. What is this that stands before me?
Oh no, please God help me. Bow. That's a good one. Is that your favorite Sabbath?
For nostalgia purposes, but I'd say Sabbath 4, maybe. They're all good. That whole first six, it's like, I don't know. What was there not to like?
Wheels of confusion.
The Wizard and that creepy harmonica.
That's true.
I
That's
think
very
you
true.
might. Oldies Radio, is that a spelling mistake? Is it supposed to be crappy harmonica or creepy harmonica? Oh, so good. So good. What do you got, Steve?
I'm going with another jazz album. I'm going to go with Eric Dolphy, Out to Lunch.
Ooh, okay.
You
Yeah, that's one that you see all the time. Well, you see all the time as in like it comes up on lists and things like that. What makes that album so good, Steve?
its time signatures are all over the place. Obviously, Eric Dolphy, I just think, is an incredibly underrated jazz musician, and he always seems to have a band that is just as anxious to play as he is. So,
And what does he play for the folks at home?
Eric Dolphy plays everything from saxophone to flute and alto sax and this, that, and the other thing.
So the woodwinds. He plays.
Yes, he played the woodwinds, Daddy.
Oh, take a drink. That's some barbecue.
It's the ring a ringing. It's the ding a dinging.
Oh man,
Jesus.
I am going to go with an album that I know that you saw, and I think we might have talked about this before, but this was they always talked about this one in Mojo.
Yeah.
The Jarvis Cocker record. This is sort of his first album after he pretty much was Pulp. He was that band, right? So, this has some great stuff on it. Black Magic's really good. Heavy Weather. I Will Kill
Got
Again.
a black magic woman.
Nope, not that.
Kill
one.
Again, the Slayer song.
I will kill again. Rain and blood. No, it's
Kill Again.
yeah,
Off of Hell Awaits.
yeah. But yeah, definitely a cool one to check out.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Let's go with. I'm surprised that this has not come up on our list yet, but let's go ahead and throw it on there. Let's go with Watertown by Frank Sinatra.
Whoa! I was not expecting that. So,
You like it?
dude, I was in a weird place listening to that album. I listened to that album maybe a few times too many. But yeah, no, it still holds up. It's still, in my opinion, I think it's an amazing record. But when I was really listening to that sort of like the downer 1968, 69 sort of thing, that I had to step away from that for a bit because that definitely messed with the old cabeza. So, yeah. John, if you're still on, have you listened to Watertown yet?
DOA Blood Rock.
I was organizing my records and I pulled that one out today. That's a strange one. Where are they with like Grand Funk? I feel like they're like almost like at that era, they're like almost like exactly on the same. They're on the level with each other, I feel. with like the Red album.
Really by Blood Rock. Get out of here with you are no Grand Funk is head and shoulders above. Head and shoulders
But I
above.
just feel like it's like the same like it's like the same vibe. It's like the same like.
Well, they
Know
were
what I
on the
mean?
same label, and I'm pretty sure Terry Knight produced them too. So.
Oh really? I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, pretty sure he did.
That would make sense.
So I don't know, that live album with Breach of the Lease is pretty dope. That's probably the best song he ever did.
Yeah. John, this week I will respin Watertown. Okay.
Watertown.
Oh.
Robert Goulet.
Robert Goulet sings Watertown. So another one to add to our list with the Grateful Dead is Reckoning.
Reckoning.
This again, it's a special place in my heart for this one. So when I was in seventh grade, this is in that era of we're still using cassette tapes and stuff like that. But I had a friend of mine that I had Skeletons from the Closet, let him borrow it. He made a copy of it. He had Reckoning. I borrowed it, made a copy of it. And I didn't have enough. I couldn't fit it on the cassette tape that I did, so I had to cut a few of the songs off of it. But the stuff that did make it on the tape was like my favorites. I think there was like maybe like it must have been the Roses. I think maybe that one didn't make the cut or something like that. There was like one song that didn't.
That was a good choice to cut.
Yeah, like it was like it was like the longest one, and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna.
Once upon a time there was an engine.
Oh, dude, but that
who drove a locomotive both far and near,
accompanied by a monkey who sat on a stool. What do you got, Steve? Pick 3. Your third pick.
Watching everything the engineer would pull. Pick 3? Oh, 10.
Your third pick.
Pearl Jam, 10.
Ooh, baby. On a wheeling. On a whistle on the way. Oh, man.
Woo! It's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad to see that made the list. Did I say Vitology, or we were just maybe like just spitballing and we were talking about?
We were just
Okay.
spitballing it. We were spitballing. I mean, you can throw, dude. I'm not going to argue with Vitology 10 and Verse being on the list. I'm not going to argue with any of those 3.
Yeah, I mean they're all fantastic.
They're good. They absolutely.
It's funny because it's like you think about the time frame, sort of when those came out, and then like No Code came out. Like I really remember like them talking about that on MTV when that came out. But like I feel like it sort of like had drifted to a different place. Like I don't know about you, but like maybe it was just like the friends that I listened to or friends that I hung out with, but like they really looked at music as like passe. Like whatever was like played on the radio, like
is what they would listen to.
Yeah. Like
it's background noise at that point. It's like it doesn't have any substance to it or anything like that. It's just something to fill the silence, which is really sad.
Yeah. Well, and I think a great example of that is I had a lot of friends who really liked that Weezer Blue album, myself included, but like we never got to Pinkerton, right? When that came out, like people were like,
"Oof, that's a good one." Like, granted, it's completely different, but it's a good record.
But again, that's one of those things that like people like. I know that it. I think it's aged well, as far as like now people are like, yeah, that was a great album that nobody cared about, but at the same time, like nobody cared about that. Nobody was listening to that. You know what I mean? Because it was, again, that was like Limp Bizkit and nu metal was coming out. Like that's what people were listening to. So we got a speaking of Weezer. Let's hear it, Oldies Radio. What do you got? Rivers Cuomo and Iggy Pop eating cake, or was that Peaches? I forget. I saw that briefly on the page.
Yeah. It was. I didn't know what that was at first, but then like that's apparently a thing right now. It's like AI. So you can put like I don't know. You can put like Glenn Dansing's roofing company, and like it'll pull up like what Glenn Danzig would look like if he had his own roofing company.
Yeah. So speaking of Weezer, those pictures, yes. So I gotta look into that because I saw some other memes going around where people were doing that, and it was just very weird stuff. So those are AI generated photos. Oh, that's just bizarre. That just makes me kind of sick. So whose turn is it?
It would be yours.
It's my turn because you said Pearl Jam 10. Um,
Yeah.
John Fahey,
Woo!
Volume 1, Blind Joe Death. There's some really cool songs on this. Very cool songs on this. Um, if you've never heard this album, do yourself a favor and listen to it. So John Fahey pretty much invented the American primitive genre of music. Um, and what's really cool is so he got a bunch of albums pressed up. Do you know much about John Fahey at all?
No, I've heard you speak on him, but
Yeah.
not. I do not know a lot about him now.
So his guitar style is sort of acoustic. Um, it sometimes could be finger style, but it's very simple. We would call it lo-fi now, right? Like if people would do it now, usually there'd be soft synthesizers over it and stuff like that. Um, but he pretty much created this genre where it was sort of in the 60s, these people that were sort of trying to emulate people like I'm drawing a blank here, but like Charlie Patton and Robert Johnson and things like that, where they were like these old blues guys that were playing acoustic guitar. It wasn't like like the blues rock. This was like that was sort of the
Yeah.
what American primitive really is, right? So I mean, and it's evolved a little bit, but that's sort of the thought process behind it. It's very simple. No accompaniment or anything like that. So John Fahey, he got a bunch of. He thought like the only way that he could be legit was if like he sounded like his name was like an old blues player. So he called himself Blind Joe Death. And what he did when he pressed up his
The
albums,
hell of a name.
yeah, his he just said like Blind Joe Death was on the original thing, and he would go to thrift stores and he would just like put his album in thrift stores and stuff like that. That was what his sort of thing was. And this was like in the 1960s. He also had like a pretty awesome 78 collection. It sort of did the same thing that like Art Crumb would do, where they would go around to houses and say, hey, do you got any records? And then they would, buy blues records and things like that. So um, it's cool. It's definitely, it's something worth checking out. This is from 1967. And so, he kind of had a tragic life. Some of his albums are pretty hard to get into. He released a lot of stuff. Sort of, he got a major label contract. Was on Reprise for a little bit. But the stuff that's on Tacoma is the best stuff. It's like his own privately released stuff. So yeah, check out John Fahey. So they got those records for peanuts. They sure did. Um,
Yeah.
all right, my man, what do you got?
Let's go with Uncle Tupelo, No Depression.
Ooh,
Love that record.
oh my goodness. So
I could have picked any Uncle Tupelo, but I'm gonna stick with the No Depression because that's the one I spend the most.
So talk to me about like your how did you get to Uncle Tupelo? Just working in the record store?
I worked at a record store for the guy who was a big fan of like Sunvolt and things like that, and he and I kind of had kind of similar music tastes, kind of like you and I do a little bit, maybe not as in common as you and I do. But he was like, "Well, have you ever heard Uncle Tupelo?" And I said, "No," and he put that on, and I was like, "This is some of the coolest stuff I've ever heard." So, I mean, if there's one, I don't know, it's like punk bluegrass,
Yeah, it's like country punk kind of thing. So
Yeah, but they have some of the great songs like oh god, like Whiskey Bottle is one of the greatest songs I think ever written. So it's
so
really, really, really great, man. Love
you
Uncle Tupelo.
did you sort of did you pledge your allegiance to Sun Volt or Wilco? Did you have sort of like a preference or?
I like them both, but Sunvolt. I
Okay.
prefer Sunvolt over Wilco. But I mean, Yankee Foxtrot Hotel is amazing. I'm not going to argue that. That's probably the best thing that they've done post Uncle Tupelo. But I think like that first Sunvolt record is fantastic.
Wide Swing Tremolo, or the
No,
Trace. No, which one?
Trace. Yeah,
Trace. Yeah.
Trace.
I
And
mean,
then that the first Wilco album was really good too. Box full of letters and all that stuff. That's those kind of records. Both of those are like they have just a sprinkle of Uncle Tupelo still left. So
yeah. Well, I think
it wasn't until later on where they kind of really started to develop their own sound.
Like Okimon, the Melody of Riot, I think was that album came to me at the kind of the perfect time. That Sunvolt album. And then the one that was the follow up to that one was pretty good too.
Sure.
But yeah, I saw them recently. When I say recently, probably about 3 years ago now at this point. And then they had again, it's weird, like, and like I don't mind saying that, like it's just like I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like it's like I wouldn't say that it's like too political, but I understand, like, again, those things are important. Those things are important to bring to the forefront. But like, it's just like I don't know. It's hard to sort of like, as much as the Okimon, the Melody of Riot was about George W. Bush. It's kind of like hard to sort of like listen to that stuff again and be like, there's no new ideas here. You know what I mean? And I know that not much has changed since that album came out, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. I like to see a little bit of evolution, and it's like hard when you kind of get stuck in that kind of thing. So their album Union, I wasn't really a big fan of. I really didn't. Again, it's just kind of like more of the same. Like, okay, here we go. So what about Pokemon? Are we talking about?
See, I like you. What about What is Pokemon?
What about Pokemon? We gonna open up some Pokemon cards on the show, Steve?
Ooh, baby, I hope I get a Charizard, baby.
Take a drink. All right. Over to you, Steve. Oh, you did say. You said Uncle Tupelo.
Yeah.
I think this is one that we thought we forgot. David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, and the Spiders from Mars. Yeah, you dig it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that low or Aladdin Sane, I think all deserve a highlight.
What you got, Steven?
I am going to go with. Let's do this. Let's go with. Are you familiar with the National? Trouble Will Find Me.
So I am. Yes, I am familiar with that band, but I don't really. That would be an album I'd have to listen to again.
You should, because it's great.
I know there's people I've talked to that really love their stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Your turn. Concert for Bangladesh. There you go.
Concert for Bangladesh. Yeah, this is.
If you would refrain from smoking.
This is such a great album, Steve. And I'm sure you were working at the record store right around the reissue campaign for this.
Monologues there.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up really bad, Steve.
That's just the way God made it. I got the DVD set when it came out.
Oh, okay.
My bad. So are you. I'm sorry. I don't know whose end it is, but yes, I wasn't. I got the DVD set when that came out and the CD set when it came out. So yep.
I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right around that same time, and they actually had George Harrison's white suit, and then you could watch the movie there. They were streaming that, so that was pretty cool. And he's a little guy. That suit was small. Wouldn't have fit you. Definitely wouldn't have fit me. So it was. I didn't realize how small. Going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and kind of seeing.
The All-American man, Daddy. You understand?
You're gonna have to take the pants up a little bit for me. You're gonna have to take the waist out about 2 or 3
Where'd you
inches.
get this, baby gap?
They're tiny guys, man. Those guys were little. And Mick
Yeah.
Jagger, they'll show you Mick Jagger's pants, which unfortunately he has COVID.
Yeah. Hope speedy recovery. Hopefully he's all right.
Yeah.
That's some stuff.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good.
Prince was a short guy too. How tall was Prince? Let's look it up. You think you could dunk on Prince?
Not after watching some
Dave,
rival footage.
Dave Chappelle.
But I heard he made some real good pancakes.
Wash yourself with the water of Lake Minnetonka.
Purify yourself. Prince was 5'2",
5'2",
and weighed 112 pounds. My left leg weighs 112 pounds.
5'2". Oh my god. 5'2".
Let's see what his waistline was.
Probably like a 22, something like that.
No, they don't say.
They're showing all the people that are coming up. There's Tom Petty. Tom Petty is 5'9". That's strange. I mean, he always is walking around with his cowboy boots on. That makes sense, right? Wow. 5'2". That's what we should do from now on. So as we look up these artists, we should look up their height too. We'll talk about that. That's something I think we should do. What's your next pick, Steve? You were frozen.
Ideal. As it was mentioned earlier, am I unfrozen?
You're good now. I can hear you, but you're not.
Am I
There
good?
we go. You're good, Steve.
Weezer Blue album.
Ooh, all right. Rivers Cuomo, what is his height? What do you think?
It's bound to be on the list, so
Blue album is fantastic. Blue album is absolutely fantastic.
And there's another band just like the Strokes. Like I like Pinkerton and I like the Green Owl, but after that, it is just it is rough.
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with the Blue album. Looking at it in hindsight, where it's produced by who was it? Rick.
He's 5'6".
5'6". Okay. What's the guy's name from the Cars? Rick Ocasek, right?
Rick Ocasek, yeah, he's
Yeah.
like 6'11".
Is he?
He's a tall fella.
Okay, but he produced
His Adam's apple is huge.
6'4". Whew. You're right. But yeah,
That's not that tall.
well, I mean, from somebody who's 5'6" to somebody who's 6'4", you're a whole foot taller than them. Could you imagine that?
Well, he always he his bandmates, and they're probably all like 5'2". So you got some guy who's like 6'4". You know, he looks like Andre the friggin' Giant.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Rick Ocasek produced it. So you have that, again, it's a power pop album that fits in your, I would say if you would put together a top 10 power pop, that would be in there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's the beauty of that album. And I think that's also why that it sort of has, after it came out, I think that's why people were like, they wanted that same album again, and they got Pinkerton. And that wasn't what he wanted to do. So
I mean, that's almost like it's almost like a blood on the tracks. Pinkerton is, it's a really raw, emotional record.
But it's no Mardi Gras.
So
it's not a career suicide album. They were trying to put out the follow-up to the Blue album. What do you got?
So this week I have been looking up like Mardi Gras reviews and things like that. So it is brutal.
We should probably look. We did look at that. We did look at that one on Rolling Stone, right? That said, they were like, it's going to be known as Fogerty's Revenge. All right, so it was.
Yeah, it is
Absolutely.
Totally.
So from one Blue album to another Blue album, the Doors'
Nice.
Soft Parade. Jim Morrison, his height 6'2". What do you think? How tall is Jim Morrison? Was Jim Morrison?
I'm gonna say 6 even.
6 even? 5'11".
Close, baby.
How long was his dangle?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the people who were in New Haven. Yes. So let's talk about a little bit about the Doors Soft Parade. Um, Again, I think Steve, you and I have talked about how this is sort of like, is this our favorite Doors album? Did we say that this was I'm
like?
gonna t- I'll, I'm gonna take LA Woman
Okay,
by,
okay. Um, the Doors Soft Parade was my
but
second.
that's a very close number two.
Okay, the Doors Soft Parade was my second Doors album that I got. So it's like I sort of have a, again, one of those. It's scientific. Um, I sort of, probably like it a little bit more than I should. But yeah, I mean, when I got it, I just, I feel like the Soft Parade was like, again, how do you sort of follow up the end? Well, when the music's over, which is an amazing song. But the Soft Parade is right up there. The song Soft Parade, I feel like. Um, and I'm seeing that Jesse McReynolds is on here playing mandolin, which is, I believe he was it was Jim and Jesse, right? He's Jimmy Buchanan fiddle. Jim and Jesse play on this. That's really weird. Those they were like,
Probably on that Robbie Krieger. Poor Otis dead and gone. Running Blue.
yep, Running Blue. You're right. Wow, I didn't. Is this really weird? I mean, I've never really looked at the back of this to see that they were on there, but that's pretty cool. Um, and then what was about 2 years ago or so, when they were re-releasing, was it the 40th anniversary? I guess for these, no, it was just they were just doing the
Mm-hmm.
the remaster campaign.
No, like 50th, I think, right?
Yeah, it would have been the 50th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and there was that awesome box set that came out. You and I both got that. Haven't played that
Yep.
vinyl since I've pulled this. I don't think I've ever played that vinyl since I got it. Um, but then they also did the sort of the remixed version of. They took all the horns and everything like that off of that, so it gives you a different perspective of the album. I really should listen to that tonight. That's going to be my. I'm going to definitely put that at the top of my playlist. So. Um, for Record Store Day, they released that as like the what did they call it? The Soft Parade, like something or other. Um, so yeah, that was
It was yeah, so like unstringed or something. But yeah, Soft Parade rules. Great record.
a great album. So what do you got, Steve?
I'm going with a classic. This is my second favorite album by this band, and it's Magical Mystery Tour by the Beatles.
Roll Up for the Mystery Tour.
You got it,
Uh,
sir.
so you want to talk about that? Like, so how does that align in the Steve timeline with Mystery Tour?
So that was so in high school, there was a Costco right by where I worked at in a deli, and my folks had a Costco membership, and so I would go in there, and they had all the Beatles CDs, and they were in the long boxes, and they long boxes didn't have art or anything on them, but every now and then they would get just like some random CDs in there, and they got like the Beatles, just about all the Beatles back catalog. So I bought a lot of those there. That was probably early on in my buying of Beatles stuff. I would say it was within the first 4 or 5 records. So that's one I go back to. Revolver's still my favorite, but Magical Mystery Tour is a close second.
In I think the Magical Mystery Tour is like it's just a little bit weirder than Sergeant Pepper. I feel like. I mean,
Sure.
there's the moments on there that are just like I don't know. It's such a great album. I mean, every bit of it is just fantastic. Again, another one I probably need to listen to tonight. So thank you for the suggestion, Steven. All right,
Yeah.
my next one is gonna be
There you go.
Miles Davis.
I swipe your.
What's that?
Ooh,
Miles Davis
good stuff.
Live Evil, not to be confused with the Misfits Evil Live, which is something completely different. I had this as my desktop when I was Used to work for the cable company. That was my desktop background. Was that? So those were some dark days, but they were whatever. Um, this is, dude. This is just an amazing album. This is just. Um, I have the super audio CD of this, and it just sounds.
Yeah.
It sounds just so good, just so awesome. And I also have. So this is. These are basically. It's kind of a collection of the cellar door sessions, which there's also a box set for that, which is I have that, and
Hmm.
again, it's amazing. Kind of the best of the best from the cellar door section sessions. Um, what an awesome time for Miles Davis. Um, what are your thoughts on this one, Steve?
It's probably his best live record, I think, and he's got quite a few of them. So that is, I think, a pretty big standout in his discography, especially the live stuff. So
I
it's good
mean,
stuff, man. It
Miles
needs
of
to
the
be on the list. I agree.
Miles of the Fillmore is pretty good. I mean, that's obviously those Grateful Dead shows. Um,
Yeah,
but I feel like
but not as good as that.
yeah, that was to me. So this is what 72, I think 71, 72, and then those shows were 69, 70,
Hmm.
something like that.
It's like on the corners era.
Right before On the Corner, yeah, On the Corner was like 73, I think. Um, but those the Miles of the Fillmore shows, especially I feel there's a couple of stories that I know of Miles Davis, which just kind of like to me kind of tells a little bit about his character. Um,
Wasn't a big fan of Steve Miller.
right. So there's also the Isle of Wight kind of. Do you know the story of that? 1970.
Mm-mm, I
So
don't.
he goes out on stage and he just does his set where he just plays like 30 minutes or whatever, 30 45 minutes, whatever. And as he's leaving the stage, somebody was like, "What was the name of that song that you played?" Right? Because they're kind of like documenting that stuff down. And he says, "Call it anything. Like call it whatever you want to. I don't care. You know what I mean?" And that's it. So if on that Isle of Wight album, it's called "Call It Anything." Um, so yeah, even though like the hippies were embracing him in the 1970s, um, I don't know. There's some kind of dark moments for Miles Davis. I feel like I think he was just tired, right? I mean,
It's a
he
nice way to put it.
yeah, he was just tired. It was just like, yeah, I don't know, I'm done with this. But Evil Live is amazing, or Live Evil, whatever you want to call it. Call it anything,
Yeah.
Steve.
All right. Well, you've mentioned the Misfits and you've mentioned the collection. So let's go ahead and put Misfits, the collection, the first one on there.
All right.
So I think that's a good solid pick.
The collection volume 2, I actually picked up on vinyl at the Warp Tour, and I was carrying that around at the Warp Tour for like the entire day.
Good Lord. Did it get jumped on?
No, no. I got that, and there was like a NoFX record that I got too at the time. I've since sold that NoFX record, but it was like a collection of all their singles and stuff like that. Do you like NoFX? You a fan of that kind of punk music?
I do.
You
I
do?
do.
Okay.
Yep. I do.
Um,
I like their earlier stuff. I love White Trash, and that's a flawless record.
Drunken Public, Punk and Drublic.
That's great.
Um,
Cause hey, we're the Brews.
all right. What do we got here now? You said the collection one. All right.
Yes.
All right. So I got another one that this album is like maybe not necessarily like the best album in the world, but um, I still feel like it needs mentioned. This guy, he has quite a few albums, and I don't really feel like anybody ever says like this is like the definitive album, but I'm gonna say it. And that's Richie Havens' Mixed Bag. Have you ever heard this record before, Steve?
Okay. Yes. I love that album.
Okay. So this is actually like this is back in the day when I was buying records, so it was a buck. I have a couple of records from this guy. He used to have this. He had, would set up at the flea market and he would just have records. And of course, I kept the stickers on for all the stuff that he priced. But Richie Havens' Mixed Bag. This is like This is like the pre-Woodstock one. Like I feel like after he went to Woodstock, it was sort of like he was a changed man, but I don't feel like he put out a couple of albums, but I don't feel like they were that good. You know what I mean? Like there's
Okay.
Alarm Clock and stuff like that. Have you heard any of those later albums that he did?
Yeah, I, I own Mixed Bag and Alarm Clock.
Okay.
Yeah, I have both those albums.
So he's somebody that I definitely should,
Are we lagging that bad?
it's all right. I mean, I can hear you, but you've been kind of it's been slow. It's been a tough show today, so it's all good. Yeah, technology is wonderful when it works.
That's storming bad here. If that makes it.
Oh, that's probably what it is. But yeah, he had several albums, but I feel like you could probably call The Herd, and you could really just have Mixed Bag, and that's probably the only Richie Havens album that you could, that you really need.
Okay.
There was a Mojo comp. I think it's called The Changing Man. It's one that Paul Weller did the track list for, and he does a song where it's Richie Havens called "Handouts in the Rain," which I thought was like a really good. That was like a modern Richie Havens one, like maybe from like the '90s or something like that. But it's good. It's a good tune. All right, Steve. This is our 10th pick. Well, this is your 9th pick, but let's call it 10 tonight. Okay.
Is that all we're doing?
Let's just do 10 tonight.
Okay. Well, with that, let's do the best album that Paul McCartney never put out. Let's do Emmett Rhodes, Somebody for Me.
Down with my face on the floor. That's such a great album, dude. That is such an amazing album.
Yeah.
So good. I don't know necessarily about his like later albums, like how I mean they're good. I feel like they could be better, but that first album is pretty spot on. I think every track on
it's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Glad to hear that's making the list.
For sure.
That's definitely like to me. I think that's like a VC album. Like that's an album that like I knew about that before I came into VC, but like saw a lot of people on the VC sort of like talking about that album or like, hey, I just sort of discovered this album and things like that.
Yeah.
So, you ain't been in the VC unless you got an Emmett Rhodes record. All right, my last.
Yeah, Chris Brzezinski was like, "You need to listen to this."
I can't remember if he said that or I said that. I know that we joked about that quite a bit, where we'd said that was the best record that Paul McCartney ever didn't do. And then my last pick for this evening. We're in the shirt too. His Golden Messenger, Hallelujah Anyhow. This album changed my life. Steven, are you there? Have we lost transmission? This is Earth calling Steve. Steve, come in.
Yes, I'm here.
Have we lost transmission?
Nope, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm still here.
His Golden Messenger, Hallelujah Anyhow. It's an album that changed my life. Changed my life, Steve. So good. You familiar with this one?
Not that one, no. I'm familiar with the artist, but not that one.
I love how you typed in "I'm here" in the chat. I've not lost my connection. Golden Avatar, Change of Heart. Oh my goodness. I have another album that guy did. I'll have to show you Oldies Radio. He did 2 albums. The Golden Avatar one's like the real popular one, but he did another one that was sort of like before that, kind of a solo thing. Steve, pick number 10.
So let's go ahead and let's go with Heldon. Stand By. Are you familiar with this album?
No. Say it again.
Heldon, Stand By.
No.
Okay. I will post it in the Facebook page. It's new wave, progressive, keyboard heavy. May not be your bag, but I think you'll appreciate it.
Heldon.
Stand By. Heldon. Stand By.
They're doing Bolero?
Yeah.
Wait.
No.
That's cool.
No. You'll dig it.
Okay, I will check it out. So yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
we'll call that time on the show. Sorry about the stream tonight. I know it's been a little laggy, but it is what
Sorry.
it is, baby. Um, we will be back again next week, God willing, and the creek don't rise. Tully Blanchard, I will see you at the Greensboro Coliseum June 6th. Steve, over and out.